Hi, so welcome back to Real Auto Reports for this Real First Impressions video edition right here at Real Auto Ranch. Today we have an exciting and fun and new 4 Series BMW Coupe. And well, I shouldn't have to say coupe anymore, should I? Because we all know, if you're a BMW enthusiast, that for 2014, they split it up and now you have the 2 Series, not the 1 Series, then you have the 3 Series, the 4 Series, the 5, the 6, and the 7. So we have now gotten all the series in line finally in the spectrum, and this is now the new 4 Series, which would have been the 3 Series Coupe in the past. And what we have here is the 435i with the X-Drive, and we're going to give you our first impressions. So let's take a look. All right, so from the front, what you can see here is that we have the all-new design in this BMW 4 Series for 2014. Yes, we've finally seen the coupe come to the modern design to match the 2013 BMW 335i we saw last year. So you have this nice new front end with the eyebrow lights over the headlights here, of course the rings around the headlights, which are your daytime running lights. And I like this, I can physically grab it. It actually has a ledge here in the front bumper fascia coming right into this kidney grille. And what you'll notice is there's the line coming off the A-pillar and around. There's this other inside line from the A-pillar down to pointing you in and doing this kind of V into the front nose where the kidney-shaped grille is. Now we also have the M Sport package on this vehicle, so we have the different lower valence on this 435i with the M Sport. So you have a lot more detail down here, and you have what is basically considered an aero kit or a ground effects kit on the car. So this is pretty cool, and I love the way it looks. Also notice here it does have front park assist and headlight washers, and these are all pretty cool features. Let's go take a look at how this new coupe looks from the side. All right, so from the side here, again, you can see how the lines pull through in this new 435i, the new 4 Series Coupe. It's going to be difficult to get used to saying 4 Series Coupe. I'm so used to saying 3 Series Coupe. But this will always be the coupe from now on going forward until, well, they decide to change it again. I love the way the lines, as I said, there's this hard line detail here, this little ridge in the body comes in and goes across and all the way down, and you can follow this line down the door and all the way around, and it follows then around that curve to the front like I showed you in the in the beginning of the review here. You also have these lovely belt line details, and then notice the car kind of does this down the side. You have a 1/3, 2/3 kind of design, a very swooping back here. I love this look of the car. You can almost see the wind running over it as the car is sitting still. You can just almost see how the wind would just fly over the car on the highway and give you that great drag coefficient. Another thing I like on this car, because we do have the M Sport package, we do have the M wheels, so 19-inch wheels. You'll also probably kind of be able to see it here peeking out the M brake calipers, which is a nice detail in the M blue, and it just really sets the car off on the outside. Of course, you have the touch handles for the lock and the unlock, which is great for the keyless entry. Turn signals in the mirrors, but notice you don't, and you can't see a close-up of this mirror, but you don't have any blind spot monitoring, which, is kind of interesting on a car of this price, just over $64,000 MSRP. So that's kind of interesting. Now you also have a sunroof, but notice it's not a panoramic roof or a solid black top where it's a lot of glass. It's a pretty standard sunroof design. So that's basically all the main things. Oh, one more. With the M package, we have the blackout trim. The blackout trim will include this surround around the windows, which would normally be chrome, and this detail here, which is also in a gloss black. Let's go take a look at the back. All right, so from the back, one of the things that I like to point out about these coupes and these newer designed cars like this 4 Series, this 435, is just the way the lines in the package wraps around the back finally. In these cars, you actually get a lot more design than I think you used to about 10 years ago, where the curves fill the taillight detail as well. These are dimensional taillights, and you have interest in them as well as the full LED light kit. And then notice this bevel back here, the light's catching it really nice right now. This is a flat spot along the edge of the trunk lid, and it just carries the curve that comes off the car here, shaping the rear end really nicely. I think all these details are what gives these newer cars a lot more interest and a lot more sculpture type of qualities. You know, it's like art rolling down the road again. And I think that's where the Germans have really gotten it right, is that they give you just all of this detail in these cars, and it's crisp and the lines fit well, the body panel fit is good. And then you have nice features like when you pop the trunk, it opens all the way for you. You can get a lot of stuff in here. You know, you can get good sized packages into a coupe, so it's actually usable on a daily basis. There's a built-in handle to close the coupe trunk so that you can not touch the paint, which is always nice. I'm always getting my grubby hands all over it, right? And then you have nice technology features in the back that are discreetly put in, like the park assist that is back there. And then of course you have your rear camera hanging down here. And then because we do have the M Sport package, we have the black down along here on the bottom and the dual exhaust on the 435, which is excellent. You'll have that whether you have the M Sport or not. If you have the 428, you're going to get the dual tips only on the left side. And you'll see that if you look at our 328 GT video, the Gran Turismo, which is the four-door kind of five-door actually. What do you want to call that? It's kind of a lift back, but it's not really a hatchback, but it kind of is. So anyway, you can check that video out, and we'll go take a look at the inside to see how this 4 Series Coupe has changed from the previous generation. So from the driver's seat, what you're going to find is, again, pretty standard in the new 4 Series or in the BMW design language recently. So if you've seen our 650i review and our 2013 335i review, this is going to seem like a pretty familiar interior because both of those cars had the M Sport packages on them pretty much. The 650i did indeed. And that M Sport package will give you the M wheel, so that's a 3-spoke wheel. You have your steering wheel controls and the M badging down here at the bottom. And now we're going to cut to panning around the interior, and I'll just give you a little bit of detail as we pan across. You get this blue accent line along the bottom of the vents and along the bottom of the dash there. That's your M blue, that medium blue in the middle of the M logo stripes. You also have, of course, push button start with the auto stop start feature, and you can turn it off there right above the push button start. You have your climate control, glove box, of course, and all of that standard stuff. The kind of interesting shifter that BMW has here in the center console, and then next to that your traction control, park assist, and your drive mode settings, which will be your sport all the way down to comfort and eco pro to help you get the best fuel economy. Now the gauges in this BMW are pretty standard to BMW. They're going to be that classic look and design with the red tick marks. It's going to have the information systems underneath each gauge, and then of course the big square that goes across the RPM gauge that has your trip computer, your temperature, and all the other little bits and pieces that would be in the trip computer telling you information right there. Of course, you also have auto headlights in this, paddle shifters, I said the auto climate control, heated seats, and a multi-way power seat on both driver and passenger side, because we do have the M Sport seats, and you have power bolsters in this car in both front seats. Of course, leather interior, and a 2-button or 2-memory seat here for the driver, so you have 2 positions that you can save into memory, and that's pretty cool. And it'll also, of course, do your mirrors and all of that. It won't do the wheel because the wheel is manual, and it does tilt and telescope out to you, so you can bring it out and adjust it around. First impression on this, and I'll have to see how I feel about this as I drive it, is that the angle of the wheel is kind of a diagonal more than straight. You can't actually adjust the pitch of the wheel, and that's a little odd to me because I like to sit real low in these coupes, and it feels like the steering wheel is pointed up towards my nose. But I love BMWs, so it's hard for me to say nasty things about them, but I would like that to have more of a pitch adjustment from a first impressions. The other thing is that you're going to need to figure out these cars through the manual or through dealer training, because you might not find this heated steering wheel switch on the column of the the steering column here for the heated steering wheel right away. It might take you a while to figure out that's where it is if you found it at all. So just know that these cars are pretty well optioned. They have a lot of features, but you're going to want to get to know them and get to know where they're located so you can use them every day. Let's go check out what's under the hood. So under the hood, you're going to find what is going to be pretty familiar to BMW fans and owners. It is the 3-liter twin-turbo power V6 engine. It's a great motor. We saw it in the 335i that we tested in 2013 model year. Now in 2014, we're delighted to see it under the hood of this 4 Series, this 435i. This is going to be your high horsepower brute. It is 300 horsepower and mated in this particular model to the X-Drive all-wheel drive system and the 8-speed automatic transmission. It is a crisp drive in all facets. It is quick, smooth, and powerful. It really pushes you back in your seat. It'll do about 20 miles per gallon in town and about 30 out on the highway, and we guesstimate that we'll see somewhere in the low 20s when we test this long term, but we'll give you an update in our real video. It is a car that is going to take you 0 to 60 in about 4.7 seconds according to some other tests, so just a tick under 5 seconds with the all-wheel drive, and it is phenomenal to drive. I love this. Just from a first impressions, the power that comes out of this motor. You'd think 300 may not seem as powerful as other cars on the market, but it certainly shows in the numbers that it is quite the car. Now, other than that, it is a stock standard kind of BMW setup, and we love their motors. We love the twin turbo power with the direct injection. It's smooth. There's almost no turbo lag, and with the auto stop start technology, it helps save you a little bit at the pump. So let's go see how this vehicle drives out on the road. All right, so first impressions on the driving experience in this 2014 BMW 4 Series, the 435i X-Drive. So we have all-wheel drive, we have the powerhouse motor in here, 300 horsepower. What you're going to find is from a stop, you know, you have pretty easy wheel movement. It's not going to be as super easy as the Audi brand, where it has that electromagnetic steering and you're going to be able to just super easily turn the wheel, but it is pretty easy and you can do it one-handed, and it won't, you know, it's probably not even noticeable that it's heavy. Now, when you're driving this vehicle, this BMW has a fantastic driving sense, and I really like the way it drives. In fact, I think that the BMWs have one of the nicest steering feels of all these brands. I mean, Audi would be a very, very tough competitor to add in here because they both drive really well out on the road. But this has a nice weight to it. It does feel variable. It does feel solid out on the road. It feels like the car is going to go where you point it and you're not going to have any issues. The suspension is fairly firm, but it does soak up bumps well. I mean, you're obviously going to feel the potholes in this car, but it is a comfortable ride, and for daily driving, I don't think it would be too irritating for most people. At least from a first impressions perspective. The transmission is very crisp, and the acceleration on this car is amazing. We're seeing 0 to 60 time reported around 4.7 seconds for the X-Drive. Woo! And you can see how quickly it can get there. That was just over 50 right there from a rolling start. So this is a very quick car, and it's one that I think most people would love to at least try. Now, if you're looking for the competition, you're going to want to check out the A5 S5 line, the C-Class from Mercedes, of course, the now Q60 Coupe from Infiniti, and well, probably some vehicles from some of the other brands that you might not think of, like, you know, maybe Acura and Honda and those type of, they've got some interesting vehicles that will compete with this, but not quite at the same luxury and brand cachet. And, you know, you could also go and look at a Lexus, but it's going to be harder to find the same kind of competitive coupe as you can to this vehicle. So we'll have the real wrap-up coming up next, and make sure you stay tuned for the real video coming up later on down the road here at Real Auto Reports. So that's the Real First Impressions video edition on this 2014 BMW 4 Series. We have the 435i, as you know from this review, and it will top out just a little bit over $64,000, almost $65,000 probably when all is said and done. At least that's the MSRP. You might be able to get a little bit of a better deal depending on where you are, what your credit is, and what kind of specials they're running maybe around the holidays. It is an expensive car, but it is a beautiful car in the new body, matching the 3 Series now in the sedan format. So now that we have the coupe and the sedan back together again, they look wonderful. I love the new design. I think the angles in the body and just the interest in this car is a nice upgrade from the previous generation, which I also liked, but it had smoother, softer curves and not so much interest in detail around the car. This is a car that is going to be a little bit flat in the seats on the inside, but it's going to be pretty comfortable to drive around, and the suspension absorbs bumps but still drives pretty flat to give you that sports coupe experience. It's going to be very quick 0 to 60 as we mentioned, and it is going to not, well, I think it doesn't drink too much at the pump, considering it has a 20 mile per gallon in-city rating and a 30 out on the highway, which is not bad for 300 horsepower. So I think if you're in the market for a high-line luxury sports coupe, the BMW 4 Series is definitely a line to look at. If you don't need the power of this 335i, make sure you go look at the 428, which will be the 240 horsepower 4-cylinder, and then make sure to check out the competition, like the Audi A5 and S5 line. That's a great coupe as well that we've tested over the years. And then you can also look at the Mercedes C-class of cars that they carry as well, and those will go all the way up to the AMG. And if you need even more power, make sure you stay tuned for BMW to bring out the 4 Series M4, which has got to be a barn burner. So this is Real Auto Reports. I'm Jonathan McGrew right here from Real Auto Ranch, and we will see you down the road.